welcome to LINEA ROCK.
Hey, how are you doing? Thank you.
Good to have you. And the occasion, of course, is the release of the new album, Live Against the World, which is coming out tomorrow on Napalm Records.
Yes.
Double CD, LP, Blu-ray, and digital download. So they have no excuses. They have to get it. Is it even more like meaningful this time for Hammerfall? And what's the feeling, behind releasing a live album in a pandemic period, with no concerts at all around the world?
Well, this was actually planned from before the pandemic hit and everything. So we're quite fortunate, I guess you could say, that we had this thing planned for this era where, like you said, no concerts can be had. And I think it feels, I would much rather be on stage, obviously, but since nobody can right now, I think this is a pretty good substitute, because this is as close as you can get right now to a live show with Hammerfall.
So as you said, it was planned already to release this record, but you actually recorded it right just before the lockdown on February 15th, if I'm correct, yes. in Germany, in Ludwigsburg. Okay. Exactly. The target in the set list, seems to be for both, new and old fans. Did you compile this special set list in advance, or actually you realized during the World Dominion tour that this was perfect timing and the perfect set list for a new live album?
This is not a specific set list just for this live recording. So this was the same set that we played on every show on this tour. But I think we always try to fit the classics, of course, the new ones, obviously, and also the unexpected ones, just to make sure that both the audience and both the longtime fans and the newer fans will have something to latch on to, and to make it more interesting for us also, not just playing exactly the same songs every day or every tour, and because that's kind of, it gets boring or tedious after a while. So just to keep ourselves on the toes, we played some songs like Redemption, for example, which we never played live ever before. So those the set list was just this is how we normally put together a set list when we do a headline tour. Just a bunch of songs that we feel would go well together. And since we have 11 albums out now, we have a lot of songs to choose from. So it's kind of hard to choose a set list, but I'm very, very happy with the set list. And I'm also very happy that this was the tour that we decided to record a live album on, because we had talked about it on previous tours, but the time was really right now for this one. There was our biggest tour, our most successful tour, and it was just fitting that we also captured it for posterity like this.
The title itself, Live Against the World, is very, very strong. Is it a promise or like a manace, a treat? How do you consider that?
It doesn't really have any deep meaning or anything like that. We wanted a name that had some connection to Hammerfall, to what we're doing. So obviously the name Live Against the World comes from the song that we have on the new album Dominion called One Against the World. So that's where that came from. And I think for us, it just sounded like a cool title to a live album. We grew up in the 80s. That's where we get most of our inspiration from. And we felt that this album title would have fit right in with any of the other big live releases in the 80s. So, that's why it became the name of the album.
So, Oscar, compared to the other two live albums, okay, you already said that this was the perfect tour, to go on a live album and on a new Blu-ray. But if you have to pick, what's the plus, this time, and why maybe a new fan should buy this one and not the other two live albums, but this one?
Well, all of our live albums, and over a 23-year career, we only did 3 live albums. So they're quite a long time has passed between each album, which means also that a lot of things have happened with the band between the releases. And I mean, from the first live album that we did, that was in 2003, and that's only Joacim and me are left from the band at that point. The second one was 2012, so we have only changed drummers since then. But I have to say that, like, the live act that Hammerfall is right now, the live performance that we do on stage, that blows anything that we've ever done previously out of the water. It feels just so. I think everybody has matured to a point where it just feels like this. You know, it clicks so well. The 5 members of the band, and just we're at a point now in our career, I think, where we are. There's a great word for this in Swedish. I don't know if in English, but we play so well together that it sort of enhances the whole experience, both for us and for the fans. I think for the people in attendance. So this Hammerfall right now is the best live version of Hammerfall that we have ever been. There's not even a competition, I don't think. So that's why another reason I think it's great that we got this filmed and recorded.
Oscar, is it true, apart from music for just a second, the curiosity I have, is that true that as a child you wanted to become a goalkeeper in a soccer team?
Well, yeah, I was a goalkeeper in a football team for 10 years at least.
Wow!
Well, I don't know if I was a goalkeeper for all of those 10 years, but for 8 at least of those years. I played football for a long time until I turned about 18, and I decided to do, because I didn't have time to focus. The trainers wanted me to play more and practice more, and I wanted to play guitar more, so I chose that path instead. I wasn't great at it or anything. I just was good, I guess, or passable. But they didn't have anybody else to be a goalie, so they desperately needed me for that.
Back to music now. As actually an experienced, guitarist, and since you had a long career now, almost 30 years, how do you see in this situation the future, for live music, for concerts?
I think, we're just hoping that things will get back to normal soon enough. I don't know what it'll take. Probably a vaccine, I guess, to make sure that, so they can ensure that people that the virus don't spread at the concerts. It's still strict rules and regulations in Sweden as well for live music and sporting events and stuff like that. They just today actually raised the level from 50 people to 300. But that is seated audience only for sporting events as well as music, and also at least, I don't know if it was 1 meter or whatever, some sort of distancing between the seats, unless you were in a party. If you went there with your wife or something, then you could sit together, of course. But if the people you didn't know, there's got to be some distancing, like a meter or a meter and a half or something. So it's better for a lot of the sports teams. They get some reprieve now, a little bit at least. It's not much, but it's better than 50 anyway. Yeah. But as far as metal concerts and stuff, you can't have a metal concert with seated audience. It's ridiculous. At least not not just that. It needs to be. You need to have at least a part of the people in front, so you get that vibe and back and forth. That I think is absolutely vital for a heavy metal concert. So. I don't know. We're for the future. We're trying to make things happen, but like right now, the next thing that we got going is June, the festivals in Europe, and I'd say right now it's about 50-50 chance that they'll happen. Yeah. They're the books and everything, but I doubt that they will be able to go through with all of them. I think that's going to be really, really difficult. So we'll see what happens after that, but. There's nothing. You could, be angry about it or sad about it, and of course, it sucks ass. But what are you going to do? There's nothing anybody can do about it. You just have to accept the fate and do whatever else you can do. Like live your life as best you can in the meantime. That's what we're trying to do.
Oscar, as a special guest on Live Against the World, features, Nora from Battle Beast on the power ballad Second to One. Was the duet organized especially for that night that you were filming, or also on other dates of the tour she was involved? And how the connection with her, came about already for the studio version?
Well, we recorded the song for the album, and sometime before the album was released, it was decided that Battle Beast was going to be the special guest on the whole tour for Europe, for Hammerfall. And then Joacim had the idea to do this, to make this into a duet. But of course, the album was already recorded and everything, so we decided to release it as a single and a video as well with Nora in it. As a sort of like a teaser for the concerts or for the tour, upcoming tour, and this was decided already beforehand, before we went on tour, that she was going to sing this song every night, and that's what they did. So it was she sang it with Joacim and us every night, and I had goosebumps every night because the voice of Nora and the voice of Joacim really fit so well together. They sort of complement each other really well. And it was just a really cool addition to have to make the set even more dynamic.
Oscar, is working on ballads easier or tougher for a band like Hammerfall? Is the ballad like, the ultimate test of skills for a composer? Or maybe it's just, a trick to relax a bit also on stage, or even a trick, to reach a wider audience, since, with sweet melodies, usually you can grab also some other kind of listeners, not only metallers.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the last point you made is very true. The ballads of Hammerfall have a way of capturing people who might not necessarily be metal fans, but that's the reason that we have ballads on every album, is because we love ballads, and I think that there's absolutely nothing more powerful than a great heavy metal ballad sung and performed with conviction. That's the most emotions you will ever get out of any kind of music, I think. And for us, it's fun to write. It's not that difficult. For me, I didn't know how. I thought it was harder. It was going to be more difficult than it was when we started doing it. But it's always all of the ballads have come pretty naturally so far. It's never been anything that has to be forced, or we need another ballad or anything like that. It just they came really natural. We had the material for it, and they fit also really well onto the album. So that's another part that's really important. That the ballad has a place, it's the place that it occupies is there's a point to it.
Oscar, among all your Hammerfall partners, past and present, which is your definitive partner in crime? Which one would you pick?
You mean band members?
Yeah.
Oh, there's of course Joacim. It's like not even a contest. Obviously, I mean we're the only ones who've been on every album. We're the ones who write all the songs and really drive the band forward. So, of course, Joacim and I are whether we like it or not, are linked very, very much so. So we like it. So I mean, it's not that came out like in a negative way. I didn't mean it that way at all. But it's absolutely Joacim.
So, Oscar, you are the founding member of Hammerfall and always, on the front line since 1993. It all started as a side project, but after the first album, Glory to the Brave, the path was immediately clear that this was the definitive band of your life. Of everything you achieved in over 25, almost 30 years, what was the moment that you carry in your heart as the greatest triumph of Hammerfall? The one that you will tell your grandchildren about, the one that you hang on to in the dark moments, which can happen, especially in longest career?
Well, that Hammerfall was the definitive band of my career. I knew well before the release of Glory to the Brave. I think I never anticipated that this would take off in the way it did, because I didn't really think there was anybody who liked that music anymore, other than us and maybe a few more. But we were just so ecstatic and happy about being able to record our very first heavy metal album. So that was a reward enough in itself for us. But if you want one moment, it's really difficult to have just one moment over a career that spans 23 years, or even more if you count the early years. But one really, really important thing that happened was when Renegade became #1 on the Swedish album charts. Because that meant that was the first time since Europe's Out of This World in 1988 in Sweden. Of course, that the Swedish band was #1 in Swedish rock band was #1 in Sweden in hard rock or heavy metal music. So it was a huge deal for that, just for that matter, for the media in Sweden. That meant a lot for them. It meant also for us that it was a fun thing. Obviously, #1. I didn't really realize how much or whatever that, it was just for me a credit or a receipt that people actually liked what we were doing. But what happened with Renegade was also that we sort of opened up the eyes of, or ears rather in this case, of an entirely new generation that had not really listened to heavy metal before. And that was a big thing. That's because that sort of broke open the doors for a lot of bands and a lot of just this genre or metal music in general in Sweden got shown a different light. It showed in a different light. That actually can be very successful and capture an audience that were maybe, let's say, 14 or 13 or 14-year-olds and thereabouts. And people who, I don't know how many people have come up to me over the years saying that I discovered you with Renegade and you were the first metal band I ever heard, and now I'm listening to this and that and this, and I've just gone on to because I love metal music now, and they hadn't heard it before Hammerfall. So that's probably what I'm going to be the most proud of, unless something extraordinary happens in the rest of our career. But as, so far anyway, let's put it that way.
Oscar, you made a tour with Sabaton, another huge, great, grand, Swedish band, metal band. Did you live that as allies or rivals on the same battlefield, to tell it as a military thing, and also what's the edge, of Swedish metal in your opinion?
Well, the first part of your question is this not a competition. I don't think that they view it as that either. They were actually opening up or special guest, I should say, on the Hammerfall tour in 2009 in Europe. And now the roles are reversed. Now we were special guests on their tour in North America. And they're obviously a much bigger band than we are in almost everywhere. But that doesn't matter. It's not a competition, like I said. We're friends. We've been friends for a long time, and we had a really good time with these guys on the tour as well. So it was, for us, it was just a great time to do it. As far as the second part of your question, I don't know why there are so many bands coming from Sweden, but I do know that I am extremely proud of what Sweden has to offer in terms of metal music and rock music in general. And what I think the strongest part of all the Swedish bands that are out there is that there's no bands sound alike. Like they have a very distinct, unique sound, and that's what they're going for. I like the individuality of each band. Like they ranges from Ghost to Hardcore Superstar to Sabaton and Hammerfall to In Flames and Dark Tranquility, and it's just such a wide range of great music coming from Sweden, and that is something that we should all be very proud of from this country.
So, Oscar, thanks very much for your time. We're closing this with Dominion. Cool. Official video from your latest album, a studio album, and hopefully we hope to see you very soon back on stage, and that this dominion will be the mission for Hammerfall and for heavy metal once again all around the world. Thanks so much.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me on. Pleasure.
Ciao. See you
Ciao.
soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.